Hi, I'm Christina, and this is a book review of The Edge of Solitude by Katie Hale. So this was published in 2024, and our main character is called Ivy, and she is 75 years old, and she is an activist and a journalist. Now, she's been writing some not very nice articles about this billionaire called Sky, and then he invites her on board his ship called the Lone Star, and he's doing a conservation project in Antarctica, and the expedition is going to be 10 days long, and he invites her to come aboard this ship with him and his crew and find out more about this conservation project. Ultimately, she is a bit of a disgraced journalist and activist with some of the things that she has done in the past, but her words always carried a lot of weight, and she really threw her support to a lot of different conservation projects over the years. So she really is someone that people will listen to in terms of conservation. Even though she is now kind of a disgraced journalist with some of the things that happened in her personal life, her words, like I said, still carry a lot of weight. So ultimately, we assume she's been invited on this ship to tell the world about his conservation project in Antarctica and try to get people to rally to this cause, as she has done in the past with various other causes. So I actually really like the concept of this book. I think Ivy as a main character is actually a very unlikable main character at a lot of the book, to be honest. She isn't a particularly nice person. She doesn't really treat her family very well. And she's just not a very nice person for a lot of the time, to be honest. So I didn't like her, but I found her a very, very interesting main character to follow. And that's obviously a good thing when you find the main character an interesting character. And it's always interesting when you're following a character who you actively dislike at times. And essentially, the person who is a billionaire, he's called Sky, and the reason that he has so much money is he created something called Intutech, and that is an algorithm that kind of determines a person's most likely course of action. So in terms of like real life placement, you would have Intutech in your home, like you would have like electricity, for example, and it would know what you like. So it would know what music to put on that you will enjoy listening to. It will know how you like the temperature of your room. It will know how you like the lighting in your room. So basically you have this technology and it's learning a lot about you. It's an algorithm, it's AI essentially, and it knows if you're in a sad mood, it might put on a certain type of music, and then it knows your temperature, so they might put the heating up for you, and then they might, change the lighting. It's meant to kind of be intuitive technology that responds to people's behaviours and kind of makes people's lives a little bit easier, but ultimately too it has a much wider application, and you could use it in a much wider setting for maybe some nefarious purposes as well, rather than just something that would help people in the home, for example. So that's kind of the premise of the story, and that's kind of the setup. I'm not really going to tell you much else. I will say one thing I really enjoyed is the way in which she describes Antarctica. I found it really interesting to kind of see that side of the world. And essentially, she's on this ship going to Antarctica, and we learn so much, and it feels very real, that as well. It feels very true to life. I can imagine that's how it would feel be going to Antarctica. And as well, she's a very, like I said, she's an interesting main character. She's a very flawed main character, and you hear more about her life as well. So she has a wife, and she had a wife at a time, and she learned more about her family, and she also has a son with her wife, and you find out more about her relationships with people in her life, and people who have been previously in her life, and reasons why some people might not be in her life anymore, for example. I don't want to say too much because of spoilers, but yeah, we really explore her familial relationships with her son and her wife. And we also look at kind of climate activism in quite a big way too, which is probably quite an important theme right now. It's very kind of a very current theme, I would say. And I would say the story's written really well as well. It's written very beautifully, and I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was something unlike anything I've ever really read before. I don't think I've ever really read a book that's set in Antarctica and it's discussing kind of climate change and global activism, climate activism, and having a character, like I said, who is very flawed and then obviously having a billionaire there too, which has its own problems, you would say. But ultimately I found the ending a little bit underwhelming. I think for me personally, this book felt like it was building towards something, and I felt like we were going somewhere big. It was slowly kind of, you know, building up tension, you know, picking up traction, and I thought we were going somewhere possibly, and it definitely you know, uncovers some things for you at the end, and you can see what's happening. But ultimately the actual ending I just a little bit underwhelmed by. I think it's a very kind of open ending, and it's up to you, I suppose, what happens at the end. You certainly find out what Ivy would hope to happen, but then the book ends, so you don't actually know what happens. You just kind of find out what she hopes will happen in the future. And I just I just found the ending a little bit disappointing. I think I was hoping it was going to build to a climax and do something. It felt like we were going somewhere, we were building somewhere, and then it just kind of ended. So I'm giving it 3 stars. I enjoyed it. I think this was probably going to be like a good 4-star book throughout, possibly a 5-star, you know, depending on the ending. I had a good time with it, and I was enjoying reading it, and I found it really interesting. I really like the setting of Antarctica, and, you know, like I say, I like the themes. I thought it was good, but the ending was just a little bit, I don't know, it just, I don't know what I wanted to happen. I can't tell you, I can't actually tell you this is what I wanted to happen and this is what I was hoping the ending was going to be. I was just hoping for something more, I think. I think it just, it felt like it was building towards something and then just kind of ended. So yeah, I mean, I still enjoyed it. I've given it 3 stars. I definitely think it's worth a read, and it really is written very beautifully. And I really do like, you know, the setting. She really paints the setting of Antarctica really, really well. Sitting there reading this book, and it, you know, it did feel like you could be there with her, and I think that was pretty good. But yeah, the ending was just kind of fine. So yeah, I enjoyed it overall. 3-star read. I would recommend you read it if it sounds interesting to you. But yeah, just a little bit underwhelmed by the ending, I would say. So yeah, if you have read this book, I would love to know what you thought of it down in the comments below. What did you think of the ending? Were you expecting it to go somewhere else? Is this kind of the ending you were hoping for? Did you enjoy this ending? Did you think this is kind of how this should end? Do you think that's a justifiable ending and you're quite happy that that's how the ending was left? Is that something you enjoyed? Or yeah, just let me know down below if you've read it. Okay then, so thank you so much for watching. Please do like the video if you've liked it, and please do subscribe if you'd like to hear more of me talking about books. I'll see you in my next one.